Welcome to TRT World and Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia and Herzegovina. I am Samir Sejfovic, and in this week's Across the Balkans, we focus on Gaza and Palestine. We'll show you how countries, governments, and the population in the Balkan region are affected by the brutalities which are going on in Palestine and the genocide across Gaza. Sarajevo hosted the Gaza Tribunal's first public session, issuing the Sarajevo Declaration, which condemned Israel's actions in Gaza as genocide. The declaration called on global civil society to take actions against ongoing atrocities and to demand accountability. At the tribunal, we spoke to prominent professor and human rights advocate Dr.Sami-Al-Arian, who shared his insights on the tribunal's significance, the broader struggle for Palestinian justice, and civil society's role in confronting such grave injustices. Professor Al-Arian, thank you very much for finding the time to speak for TRT World and the show Across the Balkans. Here in Sarajevo, we've had the chance to listen to the discussions at the Gaza Tribunal. What are you hoping to get from the declaration that has been found here in Sarajevo?
The importance of the Gaza Tribunal is that it represents really cross-section from civil society. You have academics, you have experts, you have media people, you have activists from all parts of the world. They come together in order to discuss the crime of the century, the crime of genocide, war crimes being perpetrated today in Gaza. And they come with the full recognition that the world has turned its back on the Palestinians, and that we need to expose these crimes to the world, but also try to get the people with conscience interested, not only interested, but also active to stop this crime.
But how long can the world truly observe what is happening in Gaza? I myself am a child of the Bosnian War, and the horrors which we're witnessing coming out of Gaza are beyond international law, beyond human rights conventions, beyond human rights in general.
I think we can see now that many people across the world, including the United States and Europe and other places around the globe, in which they are outraged what they've been seeing in Palestine. Tens of thousands of people have been killed, hundreds of thousands injured, millions displaced, millions facing starvation. As we speak, people are dying because of starvation. And the inability of the world, of the international institutions to stop this war, to shut down this war, is taking its toll on everyone. And I think Palestine today is becoming the global issue that is capable of mobilizing all the freedom-loving people around the world, all the people who have conscience. They are demonstrating, they are speaking out, they are in the streets, they are crying out for these politicians to do something. And I think that eventually brings, particularly in free societies, the politicians to their senses. We have seen the grip of the Zionist movement on the United States elites, United States policymakers, many European governments, but I think that now is becoming a burden on these governments because they can no longer make a defense for what's happening. Everybody is recognizing that what they have is a genocide. When you go and kill babies and target women in their tents and burn them alive, who can defend that? And you're going to say that this is a human shield, and everybody sees you're targeting hospitals, mosques, churches, schools, universities. The object here is to make Gaza unlivable, uninhabitable. And when that is your goal, you cannot hide it. Everybody is seeing this and makes it very difficult. So I think we're seeing now the whole world outraged at what the Zionists are doing in Palestine. And I think eventually that is going to bring about a global movement that's going to hold the Zionists accountable to their crimes.
Have we seen with the Gaza conflict, which is now ongoing, so to say, the masks fall off, and with this war it has kind of displaced the hypocrisy of media, the hypocrisy of politics and diplomacy, pressure on the UN, NGOs, which are supposed to serve societies. Has this war taken off the masks of the realities of the societies that we live in?
I believe so, but let's not forget that corporate media has always been in the service of an empire, in the service of colonial interest, in the service of imperialists. This is nothing new. I mean, we could see the struggle of many people around the world. You can go back even a few decades back, whether it was in Vietnam, in Algeria, in Africa, in Asia, in other places. There has always been a cover-up for the atrocities, for the crimes that empires and colonial powers have against these people. But eventually it catches up with them. Eventually these people will be exposed. And I think what's happening today in Palestine has exposed this fact, as you say, that people can no longer hide the fact that children and civilians and babies and hospitals are being targeted, because what they're trying to do is to change the demographics inside historical Palestine. Israel had a problem. Israel had a historic opportunity to have settled this conflict back in what is called the Oslo process in 1993. In 1993, there was a historical Palestinian compromise by the official Palestinian leadership. They thought that in exchange for recognition, they can get part of Palestine as a state. The Israeli government, successive governments, and these were on the left and the right, they decided that they're not interested in any kind of compromise. They wanted the whole of Palestine. They had three things, and they should have or would have chosen two out of these three to choose an option. They wanted to be called democratic. They wanted a Jewish majority. But for that to happen, they would have compromised on the land, recognizing Palestinians on part of historical Palestine. They wanted the whole land. So that would have been the so-called two-state solution. Had they wanted the whole land and be called democratic, they would have dropped being majority Jewish, because today there are more Palestinians in historic Palestine than there are Jews. 7.3 million Palestinians versus 7.1 million Jews. But they wanted to be called Jewish majority. That would have been the third option, which is an apartheid regime. That's what they chose. And for the past 3 decades, since the start of Oslo in 1993, the number of settlers in the West Bank has risen from 125,000 to about 800,000. Smotrich, who's part of this government, said even before Tufan al-Aqsa, this is in early 2023, he said Palestinians have 3 options. One is to recognize that this is a Jewish state, this is a Jewish land, they are at our behest, they could stay here, but they have no civil rights, no political rights. No Palestinian would accept that. He said, I understand that. Then they could be compensated and leave, and if they don't, the only option after that is death. That's what the Palestinians were facing. Now, because of what's happening in Gaza, Israelis, the government, and these Zionist fascists think that they have a 4th option to solve their demographic problem. They don't want to be called apartheid, so they thought what we could do here is to take advantage, take an opportunity, and end this demographic problem by killing as many Palestinians and forcibly expel them from the historic land of Palestine, so that we can be the majority, and then we can end this so-called Palestinian problem. That's what they are doing. And the world now has to face, it's no longer Israel's option, Israel's choice. It's the world's choice, whether they will allow an apartheid in historic Palestine or whether they will allow genocide in historic Palestine. And I believe the world is waking up, and they are not going to be successful in either endeavor, whether they want to have an apartheid regime or to ethnically cleanse Palestinians.
Professor, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Serbia has long balanced its ties in the Middle East.